Introducing Moringa Oleifera. This is one of my favorite plants. This is the quintessential survival crop. It's perennial, which means it comes back or grows all year, produces all year. It grows in terrible soil. Doesn't need it needs water, but doesn't need very much water. It can be totally neglected. It's highly nutritious. It has the entire amino acid profile. It's high in protein, high in vitamins and minerals, calcium, iron, vitamin E, vitamin A. It's an incredible plant. The pods are edible, the seeds are edible. You can use the seeds to purify water. I have another video I'll link to on that. But a few things about eating it. When you eat the stuff raw, like when you use it in salads, for example, it has a pungent horseradishy flavor to it. So it's fine if it's a side note or just a small part of the salad, but don't make the main part of the salad moringa, or else your guests or your family is probably not going to be very happy with you. It's just a little too pungent. Now, when you use it in soups and stews, you can put as much as you want in there. I go out when we make a soup, I'll rip down a branch like this, strip the leaves, and throw it all in there. It totally loses its horseradishy flavor when it's cooked. And of course, you can just dry the leaves and use it for tea, which is a popular thing. And we're gonna make powder today, which is kind of concentrating it. And it'll blow your mind. You'll see the number of trees that I chopped down, the pile of moringa branches I had, all the leaves I stripped, and I walk away with like 10 little bags of powder. So if you're buying it in the store and it's really expensive, just remember it is a lot of work to get it. But it's really nice to have on hand, because if you're making smoothies or just want to add anything you'd add like a greens powder to, with any recipe, it's just great to have on hand. You're just adding extra protein, extra vitamins. Various nutrients in this are accessible raw that aren't accessible as much when they're dry, and vice versa. So drying it has its own benefits. But if you have any questions, comment below, and we're gonna get to the process of making the powder. Let's go. So first, we gotta chop down some moringa. A machete will usually do the job just fine. If you have some really big branches, you might need an axe, maybe even a chainsaw. But all those moringas you see behind me, I chopped them all down and then removed the branches and piled them all up. This is like the moringa slaughter. Wow. But they'll all come back. Those will be big old trees before you know it. So here's my pile. I started removing the leaves and decided I better make a video just to show you guys how tedious the process is. Got about halfway through. I'm just removing the leaves from each branch and trying not to get too many big sticks into the mix, because you're gonna spend time sifting those out in the drying process. Less sticks the better. And look, it went into nighttime and I have my faithful companion there with me the entire time. But it's a long process. So here are 2 buckets of moringa leaves that we got from that huge pile of chopped down moringa. And what we're gonna do is we are going to dry this, and then we're going to powder it, and then we're going to vacuum seal it in a bag. So one of the things you do not want to do when you dry this is you do not want to sun dry it. Sun drying breaks down a ton of the nutrients from the UV rays. So you can use a dehydrator, you can dry it in the shade, and that's probably what we're going to do here, because I've got so much I really don't feel like going and using a dehydrator to dry all this out. But keep in mind, don't sun dry it. A lot of people around here are doing that. I've seen people selling moringa powder that's like yellowish brown colored. Why is that? Because they sun dried it. Your moringa powder should be beautiful and green. And go ahead and cover these guys up, give them some protection. And with the weather we've had here in Guanacaste lately, I do believe these will dry quickly. Now, if you are going to use a dehydrator, according to studies, the optimal temperature for dehydrating moringa while maintaining nutrient composition is 60 degrees Celsius, or about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. This is one of the Nesco American Harvest dehydrators. I'm a fan of them. They're small and they're low cost too. We've had this one for about 15 years. So this is the powder right here. It's the finished product. We dried these leaves for 3 days. All you're gonna need is a blender of some sort. This is a Ninja. Also got a magic bullet. Those work, or a standard Vitamix, whatever. You need a bowl to put your powder in, and you're going to need a sifter. And of course, you're gonna need your dried moringa. Now, of course, I'm not gonna use one of those tiny blenders. I'm gonna use the Blendomatic 5000 15-liter super duper blender. I forgot what brand it was, but it's a big blender. And we are going to dump the dried leaves in there and just let them get to a nice ground up consistency. Now, there's many different ways to dry them. You can dry them on the branches and shake them onto like a type of landscaping fabric or something like that outside to collect the leaves, but you're always going to have some little bitty sticks in there. So grind it up, don't worry about the sticks, that's what we have the sifter for. So we're gonna let this run a bit, get a good consistency. And then we are going to sift. Alright, I got my bowl and my sifter, and I'm just gonna grab a ladle and get some of the ground up moringa in there. And then we're going to just shake it until the powder comes out. Now, I don't know if this is common or not, but I like to save the leftover roughage for tea. It still has leaves and whatnot in it. But here on the left is the powder ready to bag, and then here is the stuff I'm going to save for making tea. And here we have 10 little bags. Like I said earlier in the video, it's a lot of leaves and a lot of work to get moringa powder. Especially if you don't have a huge industrial process to do it. But I got it. We got the moringa powder. Thanks for watching, and comment with any questions below. And please subscribe.